Intel Core i3, the evolution of an icon. From humble beginnings in 2010 to a capable modern processor, tracing every generation, spec, and milestone of Intel's most accessible CPU family. CPU history. 1st Gen to 14th Gen. What makes a CPU tick? These key specs define every Core i3 across all generations. Clock speed GHz. How fast instructions are processed. Core and thread count. Physical and logical paths via hyper-threading. Cache levels. Level 1. Level 2. Level 3 caches for fast data access. Socket and PCIe. Motherboard compatibility and PU SSD support. Memory support. DDR for versus DDR5 and max speeds. Price and TDP. Cost and thermal design power. Chapter 1. First generation. Clarkdale 2010. Intel's first Core i3 launched on the Westmere architecture at 32 nanometers. Hyper-threading returned, and the memory controller moved onto the die. Cores, threads, 2 cores, 4 threads. Clock speed, to 0.93 to 3.06 GHz. Socket, LGA 1156. Cache, for megabytes L3. Memory, DDR3 10661333. TDP, 73 watt. Integrated GPU. Intel HD graphics on die. Launch price, $113 USD. Chapter 2. Second generation. Sandy Bridge to 011. Sandy Bridge was a generational leap. Intel fused CPU and GPU on one die, boosted IPC by approximately 11%, and introduced Turbo Boost to 0.0. First Gen to 010. To see. 14, 3.06 GHz, 32 nanometers, LGA 1156, DDR3, 73 watt. Second Gen to 011. To see. 14, 3.3 GHz, 32 nanometers, LGA 1155, DDR3 133365 watt. Turbo Boost to 0.0 and on-die GPU were the headline upgrades. Chapter 3. Third and 4th Gen. Ivy Bridge, Haswell to 012 to 013. Ivy Bridge 3rd Gen, 2012. First 22 nanometers Tri-Gate transistors. Better efficiency and Intel HD 4000 graphics. To see. 14 up to 3.9 GHz turbo. LGA 1155. DDR3 1600. TDP. 55 to 77 watt, $134 launch. Haswell 4th Gen, 2013. 15% IPC gain, AVX2 instructions, and improved integrated graphics. To see. 14 up to 4.0 GHz turbo. LGA 1150. DDR3 1600. TDP. 5 for watt, $117 launch. Note, 3rd to 4th Gen, AVX2, better iGPU, and lower TDP made Haswell a strong mainstream pick. Chapter 4. 6th and 7th Gen, Skylake, Kaby Lake 2015 to 2017. Skylake 6th Gen, 14 nanometers, DDR for debut, LGA 1151, up to 3.9 GHz, 5.1 watt. Kaby Lake 7th Gen, 14 nanometers plus, 4000 video decode, up to 4.2 GHz, LGA 1151 V2. Keyshift, DDR4 replaced DDR3, and Kaby Lake's 4.2 GHz turbo set a new i3 frequency record. Chapter 5. 8th and 9th Gen, Coffee Lake to 017 to 019. AMD's Ryzen forced Intel's hand. Coffee Lake jumped to 4 cores, 8 threads, the biggest i3 spec jump ever. 4-core i3 matched previous Gen i5 performance at a lower price. 8th Gen i3 8100. For C. 14, 3.6 GHz, LGA 1151 V2. DDR4 for 0065 watt, $117. 9th Gen i3 9100. For C. 14, up to 4.2 GHz turbo. LGA 1151 151 V2, DDR42 for 65 watt, $122. Chapter 6, 10th and 11th Gen, Comet Lake, Rocket Lake to 02021, Hyper-threading return to i3, and 11th Gen introduced PCIe 4.0 and Intel Xe graphics. 10th Gen i3 10100 for CL8T, up to 4.3 GHz, LGA 1200, DDR4 to 666, 65 watt. 11th Gen i3 10105 for CL8T, up to 4.4 GHz, LGA 1200, DDR4 to 666, 65 watt. 11th Gen i3 12100 for CL8T, up to 4.3 GHz, LGA 1700, DDR4 fifths, 60 watt, Intel 7. Chapter 7, 12th, 14th Gen, Alder Lake, Raptor Lake to 02024. Intel's hybrid architecture arrived with performance plus efficient cores, DDR5, PCIe 5.0, and a new LGA 1700 socket. 12th Gen i3 12100 for P+OE AT, up to 4.3 GHz, Intel 7, DDR4, 5, 60 watt. 13th Gen i3 13100 for P+OE AT, up to 4.5 GHz, Intel 7, DDR4, 5, 60 watt. 14th Gen i3 14100 for P+OE AT, up to 4.7 GHz, Intel 7, DDR4, 5, 60 watt. 14 generations at a glance. Key takeaways: core count doubled in 8th Gen to 2 for cores. Clock speeds rose from 3.06 to 4.7 GHz plus 54%. Process node shrank from 30 nanometers to Intel 7. DDR4 gives DDR5 and PCIe 4.0, 5.0 added in recent gens. Price stayed $100, $140 across most generations. Note: the Core i3 evolved from a basic dual-core into a capable quad-core hybrid, all while staying budget-friendly.